Police tackle black teen outside mall. Froze when 10 FBI agents surrounded them. Part 1. A quiet life. Denise Harper had raised her daughter alone for 17 years. And she'd done it with grace. She worked double shifts at Mercy General Hospital as a nurse's aide, her hands forever smelling of antiseptic and kindness. Their small apartment on the east side of town wasn't much, but it was clean, warm, and filled with love. Her daughter, Maya, was everything to her. Smart, respectful, and careful, always careful. Denise had taught her how to move through the world as a young black woman. Keep your head up, but your voice soft. Never give anyone a reason. Always have your ID. And for God's sake, don't run. Maya was a junior at Riverside High, honor roll every semester. She volunteered at the community center on weekends and dreamed of becoming a civil rights lawyer. Denise's heart swelled with pride every time she watched her daughter study late into the night, her face illuminated by the glow of her laptop. But Denise also carried a quiet fear, the kind every black mother knows. She'd seen the news. She'd heard the stories. She'd felt the weight of worry every time Maya left the house. One Saturday afternoon in late September, Maya asked if she could go to Westfield Mall with her friends. Denise hesitated, then nodded. Stay together. Keep your phone on. Call me when you're ready to come home. I will. Mama, I promise. Maya kissed her cheek and headed out the door. Her backpack slung over one shoulder. Denise watched from the window as her daughter disappeared down the street, her heart doing that familiar clench it always did. She whispered a prayer, the same one she always did. Keep her safe. She didn't know that in 3 hours, her entire world would shatter. She didn't know that her daughter's name would be on the news by nightfall. And she didn't know that the fear she'd carried all these years was about to become her worst nightmare right there in a mall parking lot, in front of dozens of witnesses. Part 2. The incident. Maya and her two friends, Jasmine and Keisha, had spent the afternoon browsing stores, laughing over pretzels and trying on shoes they couldn't afford. It was a normal Saturday. A good day. As they left through the south exit, Maya realized she'd left her phone in the food court. I'll be right back, she called, jogging back inside. She found it tucked between the seat cushions, right where she'd been sitting. Relief washed over her. Mama would have been so upset if she'd lost it. She slipped it into her pocket and headed back outside, moving quickly to catch up with her friends. That's when she heard the shout. Stop. Police. Maya froze, her heart hammering. She turned and saw two officers running toward her, one white, one Hispanic, both with their hands on their belts. Her mind blanked. She hadn't done anything. Why were they running at her? Stop right there. The white officer yelled again. Maya raised her hands instinctively, her voice shaking. I didn't do anything. But they didn't slow down. The officer lunged forward and grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back. Maya cried out in pain as her knees buckled. The pavement was cold and rough against her cheek. She felt the weight of a knee pressing into her spine. Please, she gasped. I didn't do anything. Please, stop resisting. One of them barked, though she wasn't moving at all. People were stopping now, pulling out their phones. Jasmine and Keisha were screaming her name, being held back by mall security. Maya's vision blurred with tears. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. Someone call her mom. Jasmine sobbed. Call Miss Denise. Maya's hands were wrenched behind her back. She heard the click of handcuffs. Her whole body trembled. She thought of her mother. She thought of all the warnings, all the talks, all the fear, and she realized that none of it had mattered, because here she was, face down on the pavement, being treated like a criminal for no reason at all. Part 3. The call. Denise was folding laundry when her phone rang. The moment she saw Jasmine's name on the screen, her stomach dropped. Miss Denise. Jasmine's voice was frantic, broken by sobs. They got Maya. The police, they tackled her. She didn't do nothing. I swear. She didn't do nothing. The basket of towels hit the floor. Denise's hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. Where? Where is she? Westfield Mall. The South parking lot. Miss Denise, please hurry. They got her in handcuffs. Denise didn't remember grabbing her keys. She didn't remember running down the stairs or starting her car. The drive to the mall was a blur of tears and prayers and a rising panic that threatened to choke her. When she pulled into the parking lot, she saw the crowd first. At least 30 people stood in a loose circle, phones raised. Her daughter was in the center of it all, sitting on the curb with her hands cuffed behind her back. Her face streaked with tears. Denise's legs almost gave out. She pushed through the crowd, her voice breaking. That's my daughter, Maya? Baby, I'm here. One of the officers stepped in front of her, hand raised. Ma'am, step back. That's my child. Denise's voice cracked. What did she do? Tell me what she did. Ma'am, we received a report of shoplifting. A young black female fitting her description. She didn't steal anything. Denise's chest heaved. She looked past him at Maya, whose eyes were wide with fear and shame. Baby, did you take anything? Maya shook her head violently. No, Mama, I swear. I didn't. Check her bag, Denise demanded, her voice steadier now. Check it. Right now. The officers exchanged a glance. One of them picked up Maya's small backpack and unzipped it. Inside, a wallet, a lip gloss, a pack of gum, and her house keys. Nothing else stopped the officer's jaw tightened. He said nothing. Denise's hands balled into fists. Her voice dropped to something cold and sharp. Take those cuffs off my daughter. Right now. The officer hesitated. We still need to. You still need to what? Denise stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Humiliate her more? You've done enough. But neither of them moved. And that's when everything changed. Part 4. The arrival of a black SUV pulled into the parking lot, moving slowly through the crowd. Then another. And another. The crowd murmured, confused. Denise looked up, her breath caught in her throat. The doors opened, and men and women in dark suits stepped out. They moved with calm authority, their badges glinting in the late afternoon sun. FBI. 10 of them. Maybe more. Denise's mind reeled. What was happening? One of the agents, a tall black woman with sharp eyes and an air of command, approached the officers. Her voice was calm but carried weight. I'm Special Agent Lorraine Carter, FBI. We need you to step away from the girl. The officer who tackled Maya blinked, clearly caught off guard. This is a local matter. We're handling a shoplifting report. No, Agent Carter said, her tone cutting through his explanation like a blade. You're harassing a minor, and you're interfering with a federal operation. The officer's face paled. What? We didn't. Agent Carter looked down at Maya, still sitting on the curb in handcuffs, and her expression softened just slightly. Uncuff her, now. The officers hesitated, but one of them finally stepped forward and unlocked the cuffs. Maya's hands came free, and she immediately rubbed her wrists, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Denise rushed forward and pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her so tightly she could feel Maya's heartbeat against her own. I got you, baby. I got you. Agent Carter turned back to the officers, her voice like ice. You tackled an innocent 17-year-old girl in front of witnesses based on a vague description. No probable cause. No evidence. Just assumptions. The officer tried to defend himself. We were responding to a call. A call, Agent Carter repeated slowly. About a black teenage girl. That's all you had. And you treated her like a fugitive. The crowd was silent now, watching. Phones were still recording. Denise held Maya tighter, her mind spinning. Why was the FBI here? What did this have to do with her daughter? Agent Carter glanced at Denise, and something in her expression shifted. Respect, maybe, or understanding. "Mrs. Harper, we need to speak with you and Maya privately. But first," she turned back to the officers. "You two need to come with us. You just made a very serious mistake." Part 5. The truth revealed inside a conference room at the FBI's local field office. Denise sat with her arm around Maya, who was still trembling. Agent Carter sat across from them, her expression serious but kind. "I know you're confused," Agent Carter began, "and I'm going to explain everything. But first, I need to tell you, Maya, you did nothing wrong. Nothing. Do you understand me?" Maya nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. Agent Carter leaned forward. "For the past 8 months, we've been investigating a pattern of racial profiling and excessive force complaints against the Westfield Police Department. Specifically, Officers Ryan Pritchard and Luis Hernandez, the 2 men who tackled you today." Denise's stomach twisted. "You were watching them?" "We were," Agent Carter confirmed. "We've been building a case. Witness testimonies, body cam footage, internal reports that were buried. Today was supposed to be surveillance. We had agents in the area monitoring their activity." She paused. "We didn't expect them to target a minor. But when they did, we stepped in immediately." Denise felt a wave of nausea. Her daughter had been caught in the middle of a federal investigation. Agent Carter's voice softened. "Maya, you're not the first person they've done this to. But because of what happened today, because it was recorded, because we were there, you might be the last." Maya's voice was small. "They said someone reported me for shoplifting." "They lied," Agent Carter said bluntly. "There was no report. We've already confirmed it with mall security. They saw you running back into the mall and made an assumption. That's it. That's all it took for them to treat you like a criminal." Denise's hands were shaking again, but this time it was anger. "What happens now? Now?" Agent Carter's eyes hardened. "Now we make sure this never happens to anyone else. We have everything we need. The video footage from today is already being reviewed. Those officers will be suspended pending a full investigation. And if our case holds, and it will, they'll face federal charges for civil rights violations." Denise closed her eyes, a mix of relief and rage flooding through her. Her baby had been humiliated, traumatized, but maybe, just maybe, some good would come from it. Agent Carter reached across the table and placed a hand over Denise's. "I'm sorry this happened to your daughter, but I promise you we're going to make it right." Part 6. The fallout. By Monday morning, the video had gone viral. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. News outlets picked it up. Innocent teen tackled by police, FBI steps in, ran on every major network. Denise kept Maya home from school that day. They sat together on the couch, watching the coverage in stunned silence. Maya's face was blurred in most of the footage, but she knew. The whole world was watching her worst moment. "Mama," Maya whispered, "everyone's going to know." Denise pulled her close. "Let them know. Let them see what you went through. Let them see the truth." The police department issued a statement. "We are cooperating fully with the federal investigation. Officers Pritchard and Hernandez have been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome." But the damage was done. More people started coming forward. Other victims, other stories. A black man tackled outside a grocery store. A Latina woman pulled over 7 times in 3 months. A teenager stopped for matching a description that turned out to be nothing. Agent Carter called Denise that afternoon. "We're moving forward with the case. The U.S. Attorney's Office is filing formal charges. Civil rights violations, unlawful detention, falsifying reports. It's happening." Denise felt a tear slide down her cheek. "Thank you. "Don't thank me," Agent Carter said gently. "Thank your daughter." She stayed calm. She didn't fight back. She did everything right, even when they did everything wrong. That's why this case is so strong. That evening, Denise sat Maya down at the kitchen table. "I know this has been hard, baby. I know you're scared and angry and confused. But I need you to hear me." Maya looked up, her eyes red-rimmed. "You are brave," Denise said, her voice firm. "You are strong. And you are not defined by what they did to you. You hear me?" Maya nodded, her lip trembling. "This is going to change things," Denise continued. "Not just for us. For other people too. Other kids who look like you. And that matters." Maya's voice cracked. "I just wanted to go to the mall, Mama. I know, baby." Denise pulled her into her arms. "I know." Part 7. The Reckoning 3 months later. Denise and Maya sat in a federal courtroom. The room was packed journalists, activists, community members, and families of other victims. Agent Carter sat a few rows behind them. A silent pillar of support. Officers Pritchard and Hernandez sat at the defense table, their faces hard and unreadable. Their lawyers had tried everything: motions to dismiss, claims of procedural errors, arguments about reasonable suspicion. But the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Angela Reyes, stood before the jury. "This case is about more than one incident. It's about a pattern of behavior. A pattern of targeting people based on the color of their skin. A pattern of using force first and asking questions later." She walked over to a screen and pulled up the video from that day. The courtroom fell silent as they watched Maya being tackled. Her small voice pleading, the crowd gasping. "This," Angela said, her voice quiet but fierce, "is what happens when officers forget that their job is to protect and serve everyone. Not just some people, everyone." The defense tried to argue that the officers were just doing their jobs. That split-second decisions are hard. That hindsight is easy. But every time they spoke, another piece of evidence contradicted them. Body cam footage showing them laughing afterward. Text messages with racial slurs. Reports they'd falsified to cover their tracks. When it was time for victim impact statements, Denise took the stand. Her hand shook as she gripped the microphone, but her voice was steady. "My daughter is 17 years old. She's never been in trouble. She gets good grades. She volunteers. She wants to be a lawyer." Denise's voice cracked. And in one moment, those men made her feel like none of that mattered. Like she was guilty just for existing. She looked directly at the officers. "You didn't just hurt my daughter that day. You hurt every parent who has to teach their child to be afraid. You hurt every kid who has to wonder if they're next." The courtroom was silent. "But we're still here," Denise said, her voice rising. "And we're not going anywhere." The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the verdict was clear. Guilty on all counts. Part 8. Healing and hope 6 months after the verdict. Denise and Maya stood together at a community town hall. The room was filled with faces, young and old, black and brown and white, all gathered to talk about police reform and accountability. Maya had been invited to speak. At first, she'd said no. But Denise had encouraged her gently. "Your voice matters, baby. And maybe someone needs to hear it." Now, standing at the podium, Maya's hands trembled as she gripped her notes. But when she spoke, her voice was strong. "I used to be afraid all the time," she said. "Afraid to run. Afraid to laugh too loud. Afraid to just exist. And that day at the mall, all my worst fears came true." She paused, her eyes scanning the crowd. "But I'm still here, and I'm not afraid anymore. Because I know now that staying silent doesn't keep us safe. Speaking up does. Standing together does." The room erupted in applause. Denise wiped her eyes, her heart so full it ached. After the event, Agent Carter approached them. I wanted you both to know the department is implementing new training policies. Bias training, de-escalation protocols, accountability measures. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Denise nodded, squeezing Maya's hand. It's a start. That night, as they drove home, Maya stared out the window at the city lights. Mama? Yeah, baby? I think I still want to be a lawyer. Denise smiled, her heart swelling with pride. Then you will be. And you'll be the best one there ever was. Maya smiled back, and for the first time in months, it reached her eyes. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would still be hard days, painful memories, and long fights for justice. But they would face it together, mother and daughter, stronger than ever, refusing to be silenced or broken. And somewhere in the distance, the dawn was breaking.